Every week, the Fosters brings the drama, and I think the latest episode might be one of the craziest yet. Let's get started with what happened. I honestly don't know how they do it, but the Fosters crams so much drama into one episode. This week's episode, number 413, Cruel and Unusual, was a pretty big one. So let's get these OMG moments started. My first moment is right at the open of the episode when we see Steph stone-faced. Like, the Steph you definitely don't want to mess with. Frightening. So she definitely does not look happy, and it's because Brandon has finally come clean to her about Juilliard. Now, he still has yet to tell Mike, and hopefully Mike handles it a little better than Steph did. But with this news, everything is just building up, causing more stress for Steph, and she kind of snaps. She reveals to the kids that she is tired of all the sneaking around, them getting into trouble, all their secrets, so what's the solution? Take the doors off of their rooms, of course. So she tries to take the door off Brandon's room, but she ends up having to leave. It's a little bit tougher than she thought. She makes Brandon do it, and we see all three kids kind of taking the doors off the room and into the garage. I have a feeling with no doors, that's definitely going to lead to some interesting things. Thankfully, my parents never did anything like that. Have yours? Moving on to Mike. Now, he's making some pretty big life choices. He asks Anna and baby Isabella to move in with him and AJ, but of course, there are complications because nothing ever goes happy and right for people on this show. Steph tells Mike that Anna has a record, which means she's a convicted felon, which Child Protective Services might not be too happy about since she'll be under the same roof as AJ. So what's the solution?
I want to adopt you. You don't have to answer right now, just think about it.
We really hope that AJ says yes, but of course we didn't end up getting our answer in this episode. Until then, AJ is a part of our next OMG moment. Now, it's totally awkward to meet your significant other's parents, right? How about running into them at juvie and meeting them for the first time there? That's where we finally get to see Robert and AJ meet. AJ isn't on the list to see Callie, but Robert is, so AJ figures out who he is and ends up giving a letter for Callie to Robert. Now, he signs this letter. It's super sweet. He signs it with I love you and signs his entire full name, not just AJ. And that leads to Callie at the end of the episode to say,
"Thank you for the letter.
If you give me something, then I'll give you
Love you too."
So that was super sweet, but I mean, I'm still honestly not the biggest fan of Callie and AJ, but you gotta admit that that was a nice moment. Let's move on to Robert, who's just barging into this episode causing all kinds of like OMG trouble. So he shows up on the family's doorstep saying that Mariana told Sophia, who told him that Callie was arrested and is in juvie. So I guess that solves the mystery of what happened to Sophia from the mid-season finale because we haven't seen her yet because Bailey's off working on a different show. He basically spends the whole episode telling Steph and Lena that they're bad parents and that he never should have given up his parental rights and yada yada yada. Yeah, a little bit too late there. Next up is Jude and Noah, aka Joa. So we all know that Noah hasn't quite been the best influence on Jude, but there's a real connection between them, and I think it's sweet. And so Noah sneaks into school to see Jude because he heard that Lena won't be in that day. He tells Jude he just wanted to give him something to kind of help him through this tough time, relieve some of his stress, take his mind off everything that's going on with Callie and Jesus. And so he hands Jude an envelope that seems, a little white envelope that seems pretty thick. So little does Noah know that Lena is actually still at school and she sees this whole interaction through the window. Of course, everyone's first thought is, hey, what a nice guy giving Jude a few joints to help out and relieve his stress, right? Well, this is exactly what Lena's thoughts are, so she ends up breaking into Jude's locker. Okay, so not exactly breaking in because she has the master combinations, but it's close enough. Invasion of privacy, right? It wasn't actually pot, but it was a horribly written, sweet love poem from Noah to Jude. After this, Lena kind of has second thoughts about, you know, the ban of Jude and Noah seeing each other, and she convinces Steph that maybe they should let Jude see Noah with everything that's been going on. It's been such a tough time for him, especially with Callie back in juvie and the thought of maybe losing her, and he's already just lost Connor and Jack in such a short amount of time. So they agree to let Jude see Noah under one circumstance: no more pot. But let's actually see if that lasts. Let's move on to our next OMG moment, which snowballs thanks to Brandon. What's more awkward than having your sister date one of your best friends? How about having to talk to your friend about his and your sister's sex life? Yeah, that is totally awkward. Like, so strange. But Brandon decides he's gonna do that with Matt because of the pregnancy test he saw in the last episode. So he asks Matt if he and Mariana are having sex and eventually reveals that he saw Mariana with a pregnancy test. So Matt says, hey, no, it couldn't have been me because we used a condom and, in all honesty, hello, they had sex one day before we saw the pregnancy test show up. So this leads Matt to the conclusion that the baby has to be Nick's, right? We see Matt then go and confront Mariana, and she tells him that she's never had sex with Nick, but things have already been so far damaged with Matt that he says he just can't trust her anymore and that things are finally over, which is so sad to see Matt and Mariana break up. I was rooting for them, but then again, they have gotten back together and broken up a few times, and there's been some big things that have broken them up. Mariana ends up being furious, of course, because of Brandon's big mouth. She confronts Brandon and reveals that Emma was just buying her tampons. See, guys, this is what happens when you assume things. So obviously this leads to the next OMG moment. At the end of the episode, we see Emma at the house hanging out with Jesus and the family when Brandon and Mariana kind of have another heart-to-heart and forgive each other, and that's when she asks Brandon this.
Are you sure you saw Emma buy a pregnancy test?
Pretty sure.
Ding ding! I mean, if it's not Mariana's pregnancy test, it has to be Emma's, right? So does that mean that Jesus is gonna be a daddy? If so, this is not the best time to drop that kind of bomb on this family. Alright, let's move on to Jesus, who is finally awake but has a long road of recovery ahead of him. He's got a hand tremor, a leg twitch, he's going to need some assistance walking, and definitely has some brain damage as he's kind of taking a long time to respawn. And the doctor asks him what certain objects are, and he's having a hard time kind of remembering what they are. He thinks that the hammer that the doctor keeps showing him is a screwdriver, and he's pretty sure about that. This, though, might be the most heartbreaking moment of this episode.
What? Wait, why? What?
Poor Mariana just can't catch a break in this episode, but this leaves Steph to telling her and reassuring Mariana that none of this is her fault, which is definitely something Mariana needed to hear. Also, instead of sending Jesus to this fancy rehab facility that's definitely going to cost a lot of money, Lena decides to take a leave of absence from work and take care of Jesus at home, which is not going to be easy, especially after the pizza incident.
Mom, what is the round thing?
That's pepperoni, honey. It's your favorite.
No.
No more pepperonis, so it's a cheese pizza. There we go. There you go.
So this is just cheese.
No, I don't want it. I told you.
Everything in this episode just keeps breaking my heart, but I have to give it up to Noah Centineo. Like, he is doing such a good job with this Jesus storyline. Like, I know this, can't be easy. The way that he has to portray Jesus' injury, and honestly, I think they're all the cast right now is doing such a good job. Finally, let's get down to business. Let's get down to business with what's going on with Callie. Juvie's obviously awful. There's a dickhead guard named Joey who's giving drugs to the girl, and the mean girl in Callie's, cell or room or whatever you call it, tells Callie to back off her man, which is Joey. Callie obviously wants nothing to do with any of it, but she ends up finding this girl hunched over the toilet, throwing up, really kind of overdosing on the drugs that Joey's been giving her, so she does what she thinks she should do. She calls for help. She then gets grilled about where did these drugs come from. She decides it's safer to not give Joey's name up. However, he doesn't see it that way. He still thinks it's, not quite ratting him out, but now they all know that there's drugs inside of the jail, so he decides to get Callie in trouble and give her an infraction. He throws a bucket into the window, says it's Callie, gives her an inmate infraction. Let's just say things don't go well when she goes to solitary. But I guess if anything good comes out of this, it helps Callie kind of make up her mind about what she wants to do about the trial. They tell her that she can either take this plea bargain, which she would have to plead guilty, but she would have to stay in juvie until she's 18, aka another 8 months. And when she gets out, her record would be expunged, so she'd have a clean slate. But staying 8 months in that juvie she's only been there a couple days, and it's already proving to be awful. The opposite side of that is that she can be tried as an adult and sentenced to probably around 5 years or more in jail, plus a permanent record if found guilty. But she would have the chance to tell her side of the story and be given that chance to hopefully right some wrongs and let the jury know the truth. When they're in front of the judge at Callie's fitness hearing, even though Callie's lawyer does such a good job of explaining how well Callie's doing, how she has changed, how life is different, and that she shouldn't be looked bad upon because of the things she's done in the past. In the end, the judge ends up deciding that, the judge decides that she should be tried as an adult, which is heartbreaking because it means that, like, no matter, sometimes you just can't run from your past. Like, no matter how you change or clean up your life, those things are always going to be there. Basically, Callie is going to trial. She's going to get to tell her side of the story, but we all know that Johnson kid and that evil cop are scum, and it's going to take a lot of work. But Callie, at least the upside is that she gets to be at home, sleep in her own bed because Robert paid her bail, and he's going to help with the legal fees. And if this trial doesn't go well, I'm going to be so mad. Like, Callie just needs a break. Like, she's trying so hard, and she just ends up getting roped into these awful little things that just end up falling on her and not anybody else. Like, she's a good kid who's turned her life around, so I'm rooting for #justice for Callie. Justice for Callie. Like, I know that was a lot. I think that's around, 9 OMG moments or something, though I know it's probably a lot more because I tried to roll a bunch of them into one. I'm exhausted after this episode. I feel like you must be as well, and I always want to know what you think. So what moment shocked you the most in the episode? Are you kind of happy Robert's hanging around, or is he annoying you like he's annoying me? Do you think Emma is really pregnant? Leave me all your thoughts and theories in the comments below, or hit me up on social media. Links are below as well. And be sure to tune in to next week's episode of The Fosters, and then come back and hang out with me as we find out what's going to happen with the Fosters Addams crew, and hopefully some happy time will happen. Be sure to subscribe and check out more of this week's recaps on what happened all over here. And I'm Lisa, and I will see you next time. Peace out, Cub Scout.